Children, till now we have learnt about the properties of the magnetic force lines. So, another term we are going to learn magnetic flux. Magnetic flux means the bunch or combination of magnetic force lines passing through unit cross sectional area is called magnetic flux. You can see, consider this cross sectional area. That means we have one bar magnet with the poles north south, and I have one iron nail nearby that magnet. So, what will happen? It will be attracted, the iron nail will be attracted towards this magnet. So, after attracting towards a magnet, the iron also being magnetized because that was stick to that magnet for some time. So, the field lines coming from the north to south field lines, that means bunch of field lines will enter into this iron material and will make that iron to be magnetized. So, that we require this type of physical quantity, how many lines can be passed through that material, That means once see, if this is the bar magnet, consider from this north we are getting 5 lines, 5 lines of force. Now, what will happen if this is a vacuum? These 5 lines will pass into this vacuum and nothing will be happen. If I keep any soft iron, these will be come closer and so many lines can be transferred into that one, So, that based on this concept we can know how that magnetized material, if it is presence of any external magnetic field, how that material will allow the magnetic force lines, so that due to that one how that material will be magnetized can be known. So, that is why we are measuring this factor magnetic flux. What does it call? Magnetic flux. Magnetic flux means simply if you take these imaginary force lines from any magnetic source, means bar magnet or solenoid or any electromagnet, if those sources releasing the magnetic field, I assume that magnetic field has force lines. Look at this. If they are passing, how many lines are passing through that material? If I take some cross sectional area of that material. So, if more lines are passing, magnetization will be more. If less lines are passing, less magnetization will be occurred. So, to know that factor, we need to calculate this magnetic flux concept. This magnetic flux physical quantity is denoted with phi. What does it call? Phi. So, its SI unit is one of the scientist name Weber. What does it call? Weber. So, if you want to know the magnetic flux denotation, that is phi, and its SI unit is Weber, and its a formula to calculate phi equal to B A cos theta. What is B, what is A, and why should we take this trigonometric ratio can be understood whenever you need to know the magnetic flux density, that means B. That means actually B equal to, we have phi by A cos theta. How many flux lines are passing per unit area? In the definition I said through unit area, but coming to the magnetic flux density, there we will use this statement by changing this word with per. That means in 1 unit area how many lines can be passed, so that we can say how many flux lines denser there. That means how many flux lines can enter into that one. So, magnetization will be more. So, that factor we need to know, B equal to phi by A cos theta. So, phi is nothing but the magnetic flux, the denotation. So, magnetic field induction, magnetic flux density means I just changed the definition when compared with the magnetic flux. Look at this, the ratio of number of magnetic flux lines passing per unit cross sectional area of magnetic material. That means B equal to magnetic flux by unit cross sectional area. And how, why I am using this trigonometric ratio will be explained later. Okay, look at this, phi means magnetic flux, the unit is Weber, and A is unit is SI unit meter square. So that the SI unit of magnetic flux density is Weber per meter square. This is to give to the honor Nikola Tesla, this Weber per meter square is equal to 1 Tesla. 1 Tesla. CJ's unit of this physical quantity is Gauss. Gauss also one of the Frederick Gauss, one of the scientists, he has provided some information and he had done some investigations in this magnetism concept. That is why to give to the honor Gauss sir also we are using the CGS unit as Gauss. So, if you take 1 Tesla equal to how many CGS units means 10 power 4 Gauss. 10 power 4 Gauss. So, 1 Gauss equal to 10 power minus 4 Tesla. Yes children, I have written the formula B bar equal to phi bar by A bar here. I have not written the cos theta. Yes, and I said B bar is the vector quantity, and I mentioned here area also with some arrow. Arrow represents means that physical quantity is an vector. It is a vector. So, how the area is being vector we are going to discuss now. Look at this. Some flux lines are passing through this cross sectional area. How this cross sectional area is aligned with this flux lines, that is perpendicular to that one. That means, if you take angle like this with its axis, it is perpendicular to that one. The area is perpendicular. Here, look at the second case where the area, cross sectional area is somewhat oriented with some angle. So, it is making some angle here. Here the theta is 90, but here this is not equal to 90, not equal to 90. But I mentioned here in the previous case phi by A cos theta. If I take cos 90, what is the value cos 90? 0. But look at that, it is not 90. So, what will be happen? So, should I take sin theta or cos theta, and which component should I take? Parallel component or perpendicular component? You will be learnt from this explanation. Look at this. Here I assumed as area as one vector. Area as one vector. So, how will I assume means in this type of phenomena the vectors, already I have told you in the chapter vectors, area can be taken as vector when its orientation represents the magnetic flux density magnitude. So, that is why look at this. I am now taking now one plank. Look at this plank. How much area? Maybe this side half meter, this side 75 centimeters. So, among this area, if you send any this type of balls, how many balls can be sent? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, 5 into 7, 35 balls can be sent if this is the one of the unit cross sectional area and which is allowing the flow of balls. Now, look at this. I am changing its orientation like this. How many balls can be sent? Maybe that is 20, not above 35. It is being decreased now. Why? Because I changed the orientation with respect to that flow. Flow is not being changed. Now, keep this plank like this. How many balls can be sent now? No balls can pass through this unit cross sectional area. Maybe they are going, but through this cross sectional area if it is passing, then this material will be magnetized. Here I assume those balls as these magnetic field lines, this plank as this unit cross sectional area. So, whenever this plank makes 90 degrees angle with these flux lines, then the magnitude is more. But if I take the cos 90, the value is becoming infinite, that means it cannot be defined. So, which area magnitude I should take, so that I can substitute here. Here I am assuming one of the area vector, that means here I am taking one normal. Look at this normal. Now the lines are passing. That means look at this normal. This is one of the perpendicular normal for this area. How this is aligns with these field lines? Now parallel. So cos 0 1. So 5 by a you will get. So maximum effect. If I keep some angle, look at this. How this should be? This normal is making some angle. So which one should I take now? So this is the normal vector of that area. That means this area has some magnitude. Look at me. 4 is the magnitude. The 4 can be represented as length of this vector. It's an imaginary normal vector for this area. So what happens? The angle between this magnetic flux line and that area vector is 0. So if you substitute cos 0, you will get the answer 5 by a. 5 by a. Now look at this. Here it is making somewhat angle with this flux line, that is maybe theta. That one I am drawing again here. This is the area normal vector and this is the flux line. This is the flux line. Okay. So what happens now? Look at this. This area can be resoluted as this side a cos theta and this side a sin theta. Now this component, parallelity component, I will consider here, so that what happens, how much it is making angle. Based on that angle, I will know how much area is responsible to be magnetized. That's why I am using a cos theta. So when the angle is when the angle is 0 with the normal vector, simply you can write 5 by a. If it is not 0, you need to use this formula, 5 by a cos theta. 5 by a cos theta. So that's why magnetic flux density is one of the vector quantity and area also here one of the vector quantity, and this magnetic flux also one of the vector quantity. These are all our imaginary assumptions. Based on this one, we can assume how the magnetic field line is passing through the material and how much the material cross sectional area can be magnetized. Why? Because nowadays we are having so many electrical devices. They require some magnetic property sources inside it. Even though to store the information, nowadays we are having so much data in the form of videos, in the form of songs, in the form of music, in the form of any lectures. Everything is being stored in some chips, any cassettes, some CDs that contains magnetic material. That magnetic material, whenever it is exposed to any magnetic field, it will be resonance with that one and it will produce that information back in the form of electrical signal. Then it can be seen in the TV, that can be seen in the mobile, that can be heard in the earphones. Everything is possible due to this type of phenomena. So children, I have said now what are the importance of magnetizing materials, and before magnetizing materials, how this phenomena occurs we have learnt, and that to B magnetization flux density we have learnt how to calculate. But is it only the B? Is it depending on other factor? Yes, it is depending on other factors. Those are H field and M field. H field and M field means this one also magnetic field, but the thing is, if the bar magnet or any circular current loop is there, then look at this, it is giving out magnetic field lines, but the surrounding medium is free space, means vacuum, nothing is there. No molecules are there, no atoms are there, so automatically no charged particles are there and no magnetization interference is taking place. That's why this is H field which is being given by the magnetic source, okay. Now I kept one material inside this magnetic field as one iron nail like this, one iron nail. Now this iron nail contains molecules and atoms. So each molecule has its own magnetic momentum. So that's why what happens, again it will produces its magnetic field. So whenever I kept any magnetized material which is being magnetized, both will interact and it gives you the ultimate magnetization flux density, That means if there is no material, simply it gives you the field from the source. If this field is utilized by any unmagnetized material, then what happens, inside also electric currents, magnetization will be taken place. Sum of these all effects will give you the B field, what we have discussed, magnetic flux density. That is why the H field is called just magnetic field intensity, magnetic field strength. These are the words. There is somewhat difference, because why should I differ these all fields means for our sake. Why means I need to magnetize the material. That material, how will it be magnetized? If there is no material, how the field lines are passing? If there is material nearby the magnet, how the field lines are passing through that material? Just now we have understood based on that cross sectional area concept. So if I want to write that ultimate magnetic flux density B bar as it's actually directly proportional to the what I said, the field comes from the magnetic source. Due to this one, internally the material will generate the magnetization. So the sum of this effect will changes this magnetic flux density, which can be explains how many flux lines can be passed through that unit cross section area of material. So this B bar is equal to, with some factor, mu H bar plus M bar, mu into H bar plus M bar. Here mu is nothing but the permeability. What does it call? Permeability. What does it call? Permeability. So permeability tells you the degree of lines allowed by the magnetic material. In the previous explanation, I have given, if this is the bar magnet with the north pole, maybe this is giving 5 lines like this. If you have taken one unit cross section area in that free space, these 5 lines without contraction, without expansion, it will go if it is uniform magnetic field. Now consider it's not air, that means free space, it is somewhat soft iron core. Here 5 lines are going through the free space. This is 1000 times more than that one. If this is the soft iron, one of the metal soft iron, the strength is very less. Which strength? That metallic strength. So these lines are passing internally, it will generate M value. You are passing H. Internally it generates M, that is when compare with this one, here M value is 0. It is a free space, M value is 0. But coming to the soft iron, it is one of the material. This is being used in transformers. This is being used as magnetic material in transformers. Why? Because when the current is passing, that should be either increased its power, increased its voltage or decreased its voltage. amplifying concept in the step up transformer or step down transformers. Once you can check what is the transformer in your street, is it step down or step up. So this understanding also will help you why we are using soft iron core inside some machines. Look at this soft iron. If I use this one, this will again produce internally the magnetic field. So this H field what you are giving from this bar magnet and this material, because that is a magnetic material, it will produce again the M factor, both sum you need to consider. That's why I have written B equal to mu into H bar plus M bar, H bar plus M bar. So this mu tells you permeability, how much you can allow, that means U means here the magnetic material, the passage of lines through that one. More number of lines are passing through that one, again it will generate inside the magnetic field, so that ultimate effect will be more. Yes children, permeability I said the degree of allowing magnetic flux lines passing through the magnetic material denoted with mu. Now relative permeability, relative means here I am comparing with one basic value. What is the basic value? Here also I am comparing permeability of free space. Look at this ratio of permeability of magnetic material and permeability of free space. If I take that ratio, that is nothing but the relative permeability. These all are denoted with mu, but in some textbooks mu is being used to denote magnetic moment. Magnetic moment. Don't get confusion. In our textbook, mu has been given to denote relative permeability, permeability and permeability of free space. And how this is being equal to B by B naught, and how due to this one the new factor susceptibility can be obtained. So if you take that magnetic field B bar equal to mu naught plus magnetic field from the source and magnetic field internally generated in the magnetic material, Okay, this can be written mu into H. So from these two, this one and this two, if you take the ratio mu by mu naught, you will get the answer B bar by H bar by B bar by H bar plus M bar. Now what happens? BB get cancelled and this will be reciprocated, H bar plus M bar by H bar. So if you solve, it gives you H bar by H bar plus M bar by H bar. So these two get cancelled and you will get the answer 1 plus M by H. M by H. Here look at that. 1 plus one factor, that factor is called 1 plus the Greek letter chi. The Greek letter chi. Okay. So that factor tells you how much the material can be magnetized. The rate of the degree of magnetization of any material can be known by this term. This is given by M bar by H bar, means from the source you are giving the field and internally how much it can generate. If you take that ratio, that is nothing but chi. That is nothing but chi. So the magnetic susceptibility chi equal to M by H. M by H. It is slightly varying with the value, the 1. That's why relative permeability equal to 1 plus M bar by H bar. So if you know these two factors, you can say which material can be magnetized more, which material can be magnetized less. Now how many materials types we have? 3 types. One is diamagnetism. For the diamagnetism, it is less than 1. It is less than 1 means negative value, not 0, negative value you will get, negative value for the diamagnetic. If you take this type of ratio, M bar by H bar. If you take for paramagnet, that is approximately equal to 1, approximately equal to 1. That means you won't get more magnetization by using the magnetic field. You require much stronger field. Even though you made it to magnet for some seconds, it will act as magnet. Later it will releases its magnetization properties again. Now this is for para. Now if you take the ferromagnetic, yes, that the slight difference, what I said, the ratio of the m bar by h bar gives you ferromagnetism greater than 1, greater than 1. This value is positive and greater than 1. That slight factor also will tell you which material can be magnetized. That is why we are using ferrite, iron, cobalt, neodymium, these type of materials to be magnetized, to be magnetized. Other paramagnetic material in the session before I said aluminum. So we have calculated the relative permeability, the ratio of the permeability of the magnetic material and permeability of the free space. So 1 plus m bar by h bar, and this m bar by h bar is one slight factor in the points which can be added for this one, which can be added for this one. If this is very slighter and equal to 1, that is applicable for paramagnetic material. Means this a slight factor tells you how the material will be magnetized, how much it will be magnetized. These are all things can be known by this factor. This factor is denoted with this psi, chi, and this is called magnetic susceptibility. Magnetic susceptibility. The degree of magnetization of magnetic material is called magnetic susceptibility. Denotion is psi, and this value is slightly less than 1, means in the negative value the material is nothing but the diamagnetic. And if this value is nearby equal 1, means if this psi value is nearby 0 and nearby points, so what happens? Equal for paramagnetic. This is equal for paramagnetic material. Means even you apply much field, the material cannot be magnetized and it won't become magnet as permanently. It just acts as magnet for strong fields, not for even weaker fields also. Paramagnetic means aluminum, platinum, sodium and potassium. These type of materials are responsible for paramagnetic material as examples. And ferromagnetic material, I said iron, cobalt, nickel, neodymium, these type of materials have this susceptibility value as greater than 1, greater than 1. Even for weaker field also, they will become permanent magnets. They will become permanent magnets. In this manner, in the magnesium, that Shepherd identified that lodestone, actually that was made with the ferrite. The ferrite, due to the earth magnetic field, even that is very weak field, earth magnetic field value 25 to 65 micro Teslas, that much weaker value. Even though for that much weaker value, the ferrite becomes magnet, nothing but the lodestone, because it leads you to how to go. Yes, we are checking the Coulomb's inverse square law for magnetic field. Inverse square law means any field effect, any force, if that is acting with somewhat distance from the source of that material or any source, that means we have massive object, it has gravitational field, so that we will experience gravitational force. The gravitational force, if you are going away from this one, what happens? Which has this much area with r as the radius vector. So if any point object is there, this will be attracted towards this massive object. This massive object will be attracted towards this one, and what happens? This gravitational force already we have defined in the previous classes. This is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Inverse square law, square of the distance between them. That means if this point is here, this point is here. Now what will happen, this radius vector will extend this side. Look at this now, it forms this much area, this much area. I am not taking only the distance between this point object and this massive object. I am taking square of the distance between them, because any field is a 3-dimensional, not 2-dimensional. So 3-dimensional means you need to check this type of structure, mathematical structure. The square of the distance determines it is how much it is being decreases, how much it is being decreases. That's why any force which arises from any source, according to the field concept, field forces, the force is directly proportional to the 1 by the distance, square of the distance between them. In the same manner, if we take the magnet, from this one we are getting the field lines from the north. If any one nail is there, one more nail is here with the same mass. So which will be attracted more? This will be attracted more. Why? Because more force is acting on this one when compared with this second nail. This second nail. That's why the Coulombs are proposed the magnetic force is directly proportional to the product of the pole strengths. Product of their pole strengths. What are the pole strengths means? If you take one magnet with north pole this side, south pole this side, and one more magnet with north pole this side, south pole this side, what will happen? Will they repel or attract? They will repel. Why? Because both are same poles. Now I just changed that magnet orientation this side, south as this one as north. So what will happen? They will be attracted because these lines are passing. The force between them is directly proportional to their pole strengths. Pole strengths. What is that factor? After this one we will discuss. So magnetic force according to the Coulombs are m1 m2 by, here m1 m2 means magnetic pole strengths of the bar magnet or any magnetic source, and it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them, because we are applying inverse square law. Inverse square law. Why we are applying inverse square law means this force arises from the one field concept. What is that? Magnetic field around one source, around one source. That is a 3D field, 3D field, not a 2D field, not the plane. It's a 3D, 3-dimensional field around any bar magnet or any magnetic material or any planets, stars, moons. These all will consider as a magnet in the universe. So if you take this ratio, magnetic force of the material on the material and their pole strengths, if you take that ratio, this gives you one constant value that is denoted with K. That is denoted with K. The K is nothing but mu by 4 pi. Mu by 4 pi. Mu means here it's permeability of that material. Permeability of that material. So mu by 4 pi. Here mu by 4 pi, if you write in this formula, what happens? Magnetic force equal to mu by 4 pi into m1 m2 by r square. m1 m2 by r square. Till now we have discussed the magnetism based on the electric current, how those electric current determines the magnetic field strength and magnetic field intensity, magnetic field induction. These are all words we have learnt, and based on that how the Coulomb's law is also determined. We have learnt this all, and what is the reason behind the magnetism also we have learnt. But for layman also the magnetism concept should be understood. That's why from the starting in the early history, the magnetism was developed by one concept, that is pole. What is it called? Pole. So now we are discussing the magnetism in the manner of magnetic pole model, magnetic pole model. Actually, the magnetism can be understood by Ampere model also. Ampere means Andreas Ampere, one of the scientists. He have done so many investigations in this magnetism. I said you before, two discoveries leads to develop this theory properly. What are they? Hans Oersted and Andreas Ampere, and he observed that when the two parallel lines kept, the current is passing in those two lines, two parallel wires in one direction. What happens? They are being attracted. If the lines are reversed, that means passage of current is reversed when they are even parallel each other, they will be repelled. So, due to those all observations, till now we have understood what is the magnetism, but now we are going to understand magnetism based on the pole model. Pole model means here I am taking one bar magnet. When you pour some iron filings around this side, so what happen? You pour so many iron filings around this bar magnet. Okay. So, if you observe these all iron filings, most of the iron filings will be concentrated at the edges of this bar magnet. And some iron filings will be left here. So, you can say most of the magnetic effect will be observed at these poles, That is why they are taking this concept as in pole model, and they kept the names north, south. I said you before why that is north and south. It has the directional property. Always one side of pole shows you the Earth's geographical north pole. That is why they have kept north and south. And most of the magnetic effect will be observed only at the ends of the poles, not at the between these poles. So, that is why here they are taking two types of measurements. One is geometric length. Geometric length means the length between this ultimate ends of the bar magnet. Now, one more length, this is important, magnetic length. What does it call? Magnetic length. So, magnetic length means the length between the two poles. And one more thing is there, magnetic meridian. Magnetic meridian means if you take that bar magnet in this way, the imaginary vertical plane means it should make angle with this magnetic axis 90, and keep it in mind that will be like this. If this is the bar magnet, the plane will be like this. Here I am showing you two items. The duster will act as a bar magnet, and this one acts as the vertical plane. That plane is called magnetic meridian. So, why should I learn this all means? So, during those days they observed the geometric length and magnetic length relation also. That means magnetic length is equal to 5/6 part of the geometric length. So, if it has the length L, this will be 5/6 part of that one. ML equal to 5/6 into L. So, these factors are required during those days. Why? Because magnetism can be easily observable for this long type of structures, there you can identify that magnetic effect mostly at the ends of that bar magnet. And one more thing, this length also important factor, to know the magnetic pole, magnetic momentum, magnetic dipole moment. Magnetic dipole moment also can be observed by based on this length. If the length is more, the dipole moment also will be more. So that's why the length factor is important for magnetism if you want to make any magnetic material as in this shape. That's why mostly the magnets will be in this lengthy manner. Now we are going to learn about the magnetic monopole. Why I am using the word magnetic monopole means always I am saying you two poles are being existed for any bar magnet or any current loop or any circular coil will act as bar magnet, that means solenoid. Everything will have two types of polarities, one is north, one is south. If there is one pole, what will happen? That means look at this, we have the magnetic materials like this as bar magnet and circular current loop, okay, circular current loop and solenoid. For these all cases, when the current is passing, here you will get the magnetic effect. Here also when the current is passing, you will get the magnetic effect. But here inside orbital spins and orbital motions of electrons, spin motion of the electrons will give rise the magnetic effect. Itself it gives, but there you need to send electric current. Okay, whatever these three cases we have to get the magnetic effect. In these all cases, one side will act as north, another side acts as south pole. Here also north, south pole. Here also if you get the field lines, one side north, another side as south. Now the case for the scientists, they have doubt if there is any monopole. Why? Because this is one of the relativistic effect of the electricity. What is that? Electricity. That means electromagnetism. Now, if there is in the electric field, we have two poles. One is a positive charge, one is a negative charge. Even this negative charge is not existed. This positive charge always gives the field lines away from it. But coming to this bar magnet, what happens? I cut this one into two pieces in the middle. So what happens? Again, this layer forms as south pole, this layer forms as north pole. Again, I cut into two pieces. Again, this will act as south pole, this will act as north pole, and here south pole, north pole. Even you cut at the atomic size also, the atomic also will act as a north pole, south pole. So a monopole means a single pole cannot be existed even you cut at the level of atom. So what do you know about this one? Means there is no single pole existence like the electric charges. There is a single charge can be existed and we can apply these all things. But coming to the magnetism, single pole, single polarity cannot be existed. Always it has one opposite polarity along with each other. So, but theoretically monopole concept was being existed. So many scientists are working on that one. But till now we have no any research related monopole concept. Like the electric field concept, there we have the charges and we have written that inverse square law force for the electric field Fe equal to Q1 Q2 by R square. There Q1 Q2 are acting as charges. For the gravitational force, you will have two product of two masses and a square of the distance between them. If you compare this formula for the magnetic force, there also I have written in the Coulomb force law, F magnetic is directly proportional to the product of two pole strengths and the square of the distance between them. Square of the distance between them. Here I am explaining what is pole strength. Pole strength is one required understanding to develop this force concept in the magnetic field. But the mathematically it is nothing but the ratio of magnetic force on one pole by the external magnetic flux density. That means look at this. If this is the north pole of one magnet, one pole is there nearby that one which has the opposite polarity south, and due to this pole how much magnetic flux density will act on that this next pole. If this is A, this is B. The flux density of A acts on the pole B can be known as a magnetic pole strength of this A force by B. Force by B. Here B means magnetic flux density. So, to know one pole strength, how much force it can apply on external material due to its field, flux density. Yes children, the last concept of that magnetic pole model, magnetic moment or magnetic dipole moment. I am explaining the first definition. Look at this, the product of magnetic length. Magnetic length. Magnetic length means, I said you before, there is a difference between the geometric length and the magnetic length. The 5/6 of its geometric length and its a pole strength. Before this one, just we have length that is denoted with small m, 2L into m. What is the unit for m there means pole strength? Newton per Tesla. Newton per Tesla. Now, unit for length is obviously we have meter. So, Newton meter per Tesla. But I have written one more formula here. Capital M bar means magnetic moment or magnetic dipole moment equal to I into A. I represents here electric current and A represents area of loop. That means due to the electromagnetic effect, when you keep any two bar magnets with some separation, if you keep any coil means any metallic wire which can conduct the electricity. So, the current is passing in this way. So, what happens? There is the electromagnetic effect that the coil, that loop will turn around itself. So, what happens? Torque will be generated. Torque equal to force into around this axis it rotates. So, what happens? Force into that radius. So, force equal to the formula in the electromagnetism BIL. B means the magnetic flux density, how much passes through this coil, and I means current. Along this wire, how much current is passing, and L means the length of the conductor which changes its places among the magnetic field to get this mechanical force. So, BIL and the radius can be taken as again L. BIL and the angle sin theta. So, here you can see BIL into L area sin theta. So, there you can see B is the magnetic flux density, I into A is the one factor, that is the magnetic moment that depends on how much current is passing and how much loop is there, because inside the electric motors you will have soft iron core plate that will rotate itself due to the electromagnetic effect. So we have learnt what is magnetic moment and magnetic dipole moment. Magnetic moment means here I am using the word moment. Moment is it's a mathematical expression. It gives you the product of one physical quantity and the physical quantity how it is being varied by maintaining some distance. Means moment equal to the radius vector into the physical quantity, any physical quantity. Here the physical quantity is magnetic pole strength. It is maintaining distance 2L, and here for the torque also you will have B sin theta, magnetic flux density. This is being varied because torque is nothing but I have written before force into radius. So the force equal to we have B into I into L into sin theta. Here the IA will act as that factor. So any expression, normally we have the example force equal to torque equal to, torque means turning effect, radius into force. Look at this, force is the one of the physical quantity which is being varied by maintaining some distance from one reference axis. In this manner we are using the word moment. Moment is one of the mathematical expression which tells you the product of distance and physical quantity. That means in your home you will have the doors. The door will have this much size, consider, which has the links here, so that you can open either this side or this side. Okay, now what happens if you apply the force at this end perpendicular to that one, this will be moved easily. If you apply force at this point, that is difficult to push the door or pull the door at this point because it is maintaining less distance when compared with this axis. Here also the magnetic dipole moment should maintain much distance to get the good effect. That's why the bar magnets are made with more lengthy. If you have more lengthy, the magnetic dipole moment also will be more. Now we are going to discuss Earth's magnetism. Is it Earth a magnet or not? Yes, Earth is the one of the magnet, but what is the reason to get that magnetization? For that you need to know the structure of the Earth. The Earth has 3 layers as a crust, mantle and core. At that core the temperature would be 2500 to 6000 degrees Celsius, and again this core has been classified as outer core, inner core. So in this outer core it will have the temperature 3500 degrees Celsius, 2500 to 3500 degrees Celsius temperature. So due to the temperature inside material, what is the outer core material? Mainly iron and nickel. These type of elements are existed in the outer core. So what happens due to this temperature? They will be ionized. Ionized means they will lose the electrons and become charged particles. charged particles. So what happens? Charged particles are being existed in the outer core. Now we know that the earth is moving 7,000 km per hour around the sun, and it is rotating itself with some speed. So due to these all motions, inside that iron nickel charged particles, actually those are in mainly liquid or molten state. Liquid or molten state. Look at this temperature. Due to this temperature, even these metals also will be available in liquid manner. So they will have the property to be flow. Nothing but in the fluid manner, they will try to flow when there is motion. Yes, earth is rotating itself and revolving around the sun. Due to these all motions, inside the iron nickel charged ions will move. So when these charged ions are moving means the electric current will be obtained. So what happens? For this earth, the planet earth, you will have the magnetic effect that will be generated at the down of this earth and reaches the upper part of earth like this. So around the planet earth, you will have these type of magnetic field lines. So what happens? You can see we already assumed the field lines are coming from the north pole and entering into the south pole. We assumed the direction and we referred that one. But if you kept any bar magnet here, this is the north, this is the south. After, due to its direction property, it aligns with this direction. So if this is north, is it north? North will be attracted, will be aligned? No. This must be south. This must be south. This must be north. But we, in our social concept, geometrical pole of this one is called north, and this one is called south. But actual north is at the bottom of the earth, actual south is at the top of the earth according to the magnetism. But geographically we have defined already, this is north, this is south. So geographical north is this side, geographical south is this side, but magnetic north is upper one, magnetic south is upper one, magnetic north is down one. Both will be reversed. And the magnetic axis also will be differed. If this is the planet Earth, this is the magnetic axis and this is the rotational axis, they will have the angle 11.5 degrees. 11.5 degrees. That means this is the magnetic south, magnetic north. This is geographical north, geographical south. They will have the angle between them 11.5, and always for so many thousands of years, this one south, this one north will be flipped. The reason behind this we don't know. It is being investigated. Thank you.